Today we are on the path of an ancient Native American trail, and we are searching for geoglyphs, rock formations left on the surface of the desert by the ancient native peoples who lived in these areas. A couple of years ago, I was exploring Google Earth when I noticed what appeared to be lines carved onto the desert floor. I zoomed in and used the 3D feature to confirm what I had seen. My eyes were not deceiving me. Was this some type of structure like the Nazca lines in Peru? Was it some random assortment of rocks not made by humans? Or would I find out, once I got there, that what I thought I saw was never there to begin with? But first, we start our journey exploring another area that I thought might hold promise. Many years ago, while looking around on Google Earth, I had noticed an old desert trail. After discovering that some of these were made by the native peoples hundreds if not thousands of years ago, I thought I might have some good luck here. These geoglyphs are potentially up to 10 or 12,000 years old. And the only reason why they have survived is that the desert has remained relatively untouched. And because there's so little moisture that falls, the rocks have merely sat out here for thousands of years. So this kind of desert pavement is what you want to look for to find the geoglyphs. This tells you that there's very little erosion and it's high off of the surrounding desert floor. And if you look here in the center, it looks like there is some kind of circular pattern. You notice that this has been scraped out almost. So no one knows what these geoglyphs actually mean. And so it's ultimately up to us to decide upon an interpretation of their significance. A sleeping circle is a smoothed out section of earth around which would have been constructed a wickiup, a dwelling made out of reeds, saplings, and other raw material. So when you're wandering around the desert, you are prone to come across some really interesting things that leave a lot up to the imagination. Let me show you a couple things. So right here, I know it doesn't look like much, but you have this kind of strange pile of rocks that is unlike anything else. I know it's hard to tell, but this has clearly been stacked here. Is this some kind of ancient grave site? Let me show you something else. Another common thing to find are cans. You'll notice a lot of old cans from back in the mining days, most likely used by miners. This could be upwards of 100, 150 years old, but there are several of these. There's one over here too. And lots of times miners would have just left their cans in a trash pile, and you can definitely find lots of piles like that around. This one looks super old. It's been flattened. It's very likely that these cans washed down during a flood from some mining camp way up here in the mountains. You also have something else that's a little bit interesting. This really old comb. It's been super faded, of course, from years in the desert. I'm not sure if there's any identifying marks on here. Over here you have another can. This one's been all shot up. Pretty cool. Who is using this? When? So I guess the reason people find old stuff so fascinating is the story that is behind it. Something like a can, such as this one down here, goes from being merely trash to being something that has 100 years or more worth of history for us to relish and imagine and investigate. All right, guys, we are about 2 miles out onto the alluvial fan here. And I just wanted to say that this hike that we're doing really is like the culmination of well over a year of research that I've done to locate this spot. Looking at Google Maps, reading archaeology books. There is something special in the journey. Both in terms of research, but also in terms of the hike itself, which we're currently on, crossing this rocky alluvial fan. All right, folks, we have made it to the geoglyph. See the rock alignments here, coming all the way here. This glyph looks pretty much like a knife, I would say. You can see it's about maybe 40, 50 feet. And there's a series of strange circles that go around, squiggly lines. We're keeping our distance, that way we don't disturb the site. See the line continues this way. So you got to be really careful when you're walking out here in this kind of situation with geoglyphs, because it's hard to see where all the lines are. So it's important to keep a wide berth. You can see here is an alignment here. You can see various alignments up there, and they extend all the way back over there too. It seems to be pointing due north. So maybe it's a map that points the direction home. So we're wandering around here, the geoglyph site, and came across what's a very interesting and significant looking rock. It's by far the largest rock in the area. And then next to it here, you have a clear circular structure, probably for fire. So this is kind of fascinating here. It's a little bit hard to see, but there's a hole on top of this rock. Actually, there's 2 holes. One over there, much smaller, one here. You can see the original oxidation has been worn off. And I'm wondering if this hole here was used as some kind of fire starting mechanism. Maybe they would stick the kindling in there and kind of like, you know, rotate a stick or however that works until they got a flame, and then they would put the fire here. The traditional method to start a fire would use a bow drill like this. The bow would then be rapidly pulled back and forth, driving the drill into the kindling to create an ember. So our findings are not yet quite done. I want to show you what Alice picked up on the ground. Maybe turn it over. What do you think, folks? You think that's an arrowhead? Sure seems to have the shape and structure. It even has a notch here on the right side. If this is an arrowhead, it is extraordinarily old. I've never seen anything quite like that. So this site that we are currently at is really, in my opinion, like the holy grail of archaeology. Kind of baffles the mind. Is there symbolism? Is it just a map, a pointer of directions? And ultimately, that's the beauty of it, is it's left up to the imagination. But these kind of spots really encourage reflection and just an appreciation of how different the world is today compared to a world 1,000, 2,000, or potentially 10,000 years ago. So I thank you for coming along on this journey, and we'll see you next time.